It's been quite a while since I made a video. I think when I looked, it's been like 4 months. So thank you to the subscribers that have stuck around, and I haven't had a chance to welcome my new subscribers. So thank you for joining my channel, and if you've viewed my videos, thank you. Um, so a lot has happened in the last 4 months. And I kind of just wanted to, if any of you are part of the open forum, Jeff and Shalea's open forum on Facebook, then you'll know that we, everybody planned a trip to New York over New Year's. And there was quite a bit of us that went that are, students from the school. And then Jeff and Shalea attended. And I want to say there was probably around 40, 50 people, maybe more than that. I don't know an exact number. But so for this trip, I experienced a lot of contrast, and I wanted to share my experience with you. And I know, this is Twin Flame channel, right? But everything that I share is an experience, and it is related to the Twin Flame journey. It all intertwines. So sometimes if it may seem like I'm going off topic, but it's not truly off topic, because everything that you experience is a lesson, or it's always guiding you deeper into your union with your twin flame. Everything, even if it seems irrelevant and doesn't seem to connect, it always connects in some way. So as we were, all planning this trip, I live in Arkansas, so New York is 20, maybe a little bit over 20 hours away from me for a drive. To fly in a plane, it would maybe be, I didn't really get it. I want to say maybe 6, 7 hours, if that, maybe 7. So prior to leaving for New York, my heart was telling me to fly on a plane. But because of some childhood experiences on a plane, I chose not to follow my heart, right? And God is always guiding you through your heart and those feelings and those desires, and and I was well aware, but the fear of flying overwhelmed me, and I chose to drive instead. I was going to get there one way or another, and so I chose to drive. And in choosing the contrast in the driving, and I'll explain more about that, I learned lessons. I had experiences, and I realized what God was showing me. So, um, leading up to the trip, I packed all my things. I got in my car. I was all excited, and I thought, oh, this is only going to take, I was going to split it up, do 10 hours one day and another 10 another day. So I left on a Thursday. No, maybe, yeah, I think I left on a Yeah, that's right. I left on a Thursday, and this was before New Year's Day. And so I hopped in my car, had all my stuff. I was good to go. And shortly into the drive, I immediately started to experience contrast, because I'm one of those people where I love to take naps. I love to sleep because, through healing, and, through your healing and your integrating, it's nice for me to get lots of rest. I really enjoy resting. I try to squeeze it in as much as I can, in a healthy way. It's not like I take naps all day. It's just, here and there when it feels good to me. But and I was, going to be driving by myself, so it's not like a shared trip with anybody. It was just me driving the car, so I can't sleep. So probably a couple hours into the drive, I was tired. I was ready for a nap, but I couldn't take a nap because I had a long road ahead of me. And so here's where the contrasts come into play. If I would have hopped on an airplane, I could have sit back and relaxed, and I could have slept the entire plane ride to New York. But because I chose contrast, and I chose fear, I didn't choose love, because what I mean by that is God was guiding me in my heart to fly on the plane because God knew that was what was best for me. Because, I could sit back and relax and let somebody else is flying the plane, and you know, so sorry, I'm trying to keep my train of thought here. So so shortly into the drive, I was tired and I could not sleep, and I didn't want to stop because I wanted to get to New York. I wanted to meet all of my TFAS family. TFAS is Twin Flame Ascension School, if you're not familiar with that. But so I wanted to meet all my TFAS family because over the last 2 years, we've all developed a very close relationship, all of us, with Jeff and Shalia, with the other students. It's a big family. So I was eager to get there and see everybody. But so and then so I was tired, right? And then shortly after that, it began to rain because I have to go from Arkansas through Arkansas all the way through Tennessee, and Tennessee's a long state, so it was a long straight drive through Tennessee, and it was pouring down raining the entire time. When I got through like Memphis and Nashville, there was traffic, so I ended up getting, it was slowing me down. I was experiencing a lot of resistance, and I was continuously working through everything as it came up. And finally, it started to get dark, and it was still pouring down rain. And I didn't realize it at the time, but there was a flood warning or issued in the state of Tennessee. Well, actually, I think it was in several of the eastern states. I don't remember, but because I was in my car and I wasn't paying attention to the weather, I didn't even know it was going to rain, right? So I just drove right into all of this. So finally, it was probably around 6 o'clock that evening on Thursday, after I had a day's worth of driving. I was tired because of the traffic and everything, and it wasn't all bad, right? Like, I was enjoying myself at the same time. I was happy. So as I share this with you, it doesn't mean I'm not like, oh, this was such a horrible time, and I'm just sharing the contrast that I experienced. All in all, there were, I did enjoy myself, but so anyways, so around 6 o'clock, I had to pull over. I think I made it to Cookeville, Tennessee. Never heard of it, but it was a good place to stop. There was lots of hotels, and the hotels were packed because so many people had pulled over due to the heavy rain. And I got a hotel, and the hotel was super noisy. I could not sleep. I maybe got like more contrast. So I maybe got like 2 or 3 hours of sleep, if that. And that was after a long, a day's worth of driving. And so I had to get up the next morning, hopped in the car again, and I knew, I wasn't able to make it as far as I could the first day, so I knew that I was going to have even longer to drive on my second day of driving. And so I got up, I got the car packed up again, and I hopped in and took off. And the ride was much smoother. I think I started to go through like north through Virginia, and that's a beautiful state. Um, the the mountains were beautiful and everything, so it was really nice. And I think that night, it was Friday night, I made it to. My legs were starting to hurt by then because of the driving. I used the cruise control, but my legs still, I'm a tall person, so being cramped up in a car can get a little uncomfortable after a while. So I made it to some town in Virginia late that night. I don't remember where it was, but I spent the night there. And okay, so the hotel itself was quiet, but little did I know that the hotel room that the lady put me in, right on the outside, there was a diesel truck station. So all night long, I would hear the diesels starting up, their engines starting up or turning off, or hear them driving out. So once again, more contrast, and I was extremely tired, and I did not get much sleep that night either. And the next morning, I woke up, and from a lack of sleep, I was extremely nauseous. I don't know if any of you experience that, but for me, when I don't get enough rest, um, enough sleep, I start to feel nauseated because because I need that. Sleep is very important to me, and so anyways, I woke up at like 5 or 6 that morning in the hotel room, and this was Saturday morning, and I was so sick, and I only had maybe 5, 6 hours left to get to New York, and I was supposed to arrive on Saturday, on the 29th of December was when we were all arriving, and so that morning I could not move. It was that kind of nauseating feeling where you can't move, you just want to lay there because you're so sick to your stomach. So I made my way down. I got my hotel card and I was able to make my way down to the soda machine and get me a Sprite. So I got a Sprite and I wobbled my way back to my hotel room and I sipped on the Sprite and I tried to make myself eat some breakfast. And so, yeah, I woke up around 5 or 6, and finally, I think it was about like 10:30, I was finally able to eat my breakfast and get my stuff gathered up. And I took some medicine for my stomach, and I felt much better. Hopped in the car and started booking it to New York. New York. Um, I was so worn out and tired, and I just wanted to get there. And so everything was going really smooth on my third day of driving, what I thought would be 2 days. It was my third day of driving. And so on my way there, it was really good. The weather was clear, there wasn't a lot of traffic, and I want to say it was around 1 or 2 o'clock. I made it. I think I was approaching New Jersey. I don't really remember the timeline, but and I knew that people were already arriving from the airport. My good friend Julia, I knew that she had already arrived, and my plan was to meet her at our Airbnb at like around 2 or 3 p.m. Saturday. So when I was approaching New Jersey, um, traffic was a lot heavier, but everybody was going like 80 plus miles per hour. So I just like weaseled my way in there and I, stuck with the traffic. And I had my GPS, and you know how the GPS has a time that you will arrive. Well, it was going so smoothly and so fast that my time was, I was catching up, like I was gaining time. And so I was all excited. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get there sooner than I planned, or well, I was already running late, well, later than what I wanted to be there, but then so that was happening. And so anyways, then I I made it through the turnpike, I believe it was. I didn't know there was going to be a turnpike. I didn't have any cash. So I arrived to the turnpike, and the lady said that they would just send me a bill in the mail, which is fine. And I continued my way to New York, and then I did not know that there was a tunnel. I think it's called the Lincoln Tunnel. I believe it's what takes you from New Jersey to New York, I believe. So I arrived to this tunnel, and oh my gosh, the traffic was horrendous. It was on a Saturday evening, and my heart just sunk. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get there. I mean, I've never seen traffic this backed up before. You had like thick lanes of vehicles trying to squeeze into these two narrow little lanes to go through this tunnel. And then I seen a sign, it said up above there's like a 45-minute wait to get through the Lincoln Tunnel. So I knew what God was showing me, and that it was a lesson. So I continued to love myself. And if you're not familiar with loving yourself, that's what we do, like, right through, if you've heard of the mirror exercise, when you have an upset, you find that part of you that's upset and you love yourself because it's just a misalignment with love. So I was, healing myself all through this process. And I did indeed have to wait 45 plus minutes to make it through the tunnel. Tunnel, I don't know if it's underground. I think it's underground. I'm not for sure. Maybe not. And my viewers may know. I'm not sure. But so, anyways, I had to sit in this tunnel, and it was very slow to get through. So finally, when I did make it through, I was in, I believe, Manhattan, and so much traffic. I've, I come from Fort Smith, Arkansas, where everything is very spaced out. There's not, there aren't things crammed together, and the driving is very easy. Like, there's not a lot of traffic. There is at certain times, but nothing compared to New York traffic. This is a completely different ball game. And I've drove through big cities before, like Dallas and San Antonio and places like that, but still, this traffic was a whole different thing for me. Um, so I'm in Manhattan and I have no idea where I'm going. And the GPS that I was relying on to get me there the entire way, it did guide me there. But as soon as I made it in Manhattan, the arrow just started like shifting every which way. It could not locate where I was at, and it could not even tell me where to go. So then I started to freak out. I was like, I'm in this city. I don't know where to go. I want to say it was around 6 or 7 o'clock, and so I there was a policeman. I think he was like guiding traffic. So I stopped in the middle of the intersection. Yeah, I did that, and I rolled down my window and I asked, I told him what was wrong with my GPS, and I was new to the city and I didn't know where to go. Well, this guy tells me that I have to go back through the tunnel to get to my destination was Long Island City, New York, Queens, New York. That was where the Airbnb was located. So this guy tells me that I have to go back through that tunnel to get to my destination. And I was like, oh my God, no, are you serious? Like, I just spent an hour in that tunnel and now I have to go back through that again. So I couldn't accept that. I was tired. So I pulled over and I called Julia. I found a place to park and I called Julia, and she was already at the Airbnb, and I was freaking out. I was like, I can't do this. I'm done. My car's parked. I'm staying here. And Julie was very calm and peaceful and helped me work through it. And the phone was cutting out as well, so our call dropped. And I got out of my car, and there was I don't even know what this building was, but anybody could go into it, and there was a couple security guards at a desk, and they were like directory people. I don't have no idea. It was a godsend though, obviously. So I go in, and this guy, I tell him, what happened, and I'm asking him how I can get to Long Island City, and he told me that I did not have to go back through that tunnel. The police officer told me wrong, so I was really thankful for that. And because my GPS was messed up in my car, he downloaded to my phone I think it's Google, I don't remember the app, but it's Google, so you can, Google GPS is what it was. So he downloaded that to my phone, and I typed in the address, and it immediately pulled up and showed me where to go. And by that time, Julia had called me back on the phone. She had a connection, and she told me that all I had to do, that I was almost there, and all I had to do was just continue going straight and go over the bridge, and I would be there. So it was like so much relief when to have this help and to know that I was so close, you know. And so I took my phone, I had the Google Maps on and I followed it, and I was only like maybe, well, due to traffic, um, it was a little bit longer. It was probably like another 19 minutes, but without traffic, it would have been a lot shorter, maybe like 7 to 10 minutes. So I followed the GPS there, and there's really not parking spaces in New York, right? Well, there's parking spaces, but not like where I live in Arkansas. Like each house has a driveway. You pull your car in. It's not like that in New York. It's slightly different. So I finally made it, and there was one spot for me to parallel park that was right in front of the Airbnb, and I swooped in and took it. And I was risking getting tickets, but I was just so thankful to be there. I'd actually paid $100 to have my car parked at a parking garage, but after I had so much trouble finding the Airbnb, I didn't even attempt to find the parking garage. I just left my car in front of the Airbnb. So, anyways, that was my journey there. And if I would have listened to my heart, originally God was guiding me to, it was a very strong pull to get me to just jump on a plane. And if I would have jumped on a plane, I would have gotten there a lot quicker in a short amount of time. I could have rested on the plane, and that would have been me being open to receiving God's love, because God knew what was best for me on this journey, but I did not follow that. I did not choose love. I chose fear, and I chose contrast. And so that's exactly what I experienced on the way there, was a lot of contrast. Um, and each thing that happened, I knew exactly what God was showing me. So basically, I wanted to share this with you guys because when you have a desire in your heart, and even if there's fear there, work. I learned my lesson, right? Like, I think eventually they're going to be planning a trip to LA, California, Los Angeles. And I've already, last night, I already looked at the map, and that's 22-hour drive for me. Like, everything is 20 hours. Like, and I'm not doing it again. I'm not driving. I'm going to get on a plane. I'm going to move through those fears, and I'm going to hop on the plane, and I'm going to allow, God to love me in that way, because that's what's best for me. And my fears do not serve me, obviously. They do not serve any of us. And they're not even real, right? It's just illusions that we allow to hold us back sometimes. And so, yeah, I have a lot more to share about the New York trip, you know, and I'll come back and share more of that with you guys soon. Um, but yeah, when you have a feeling in your heart and it feels good, follow that. Even if it doesn't look, obviously, getting on the plane, I would have had to work through fears. Regardless of which way I went, I was going to have to work through fears. But one way would have been choosing love and choosing what served me, versus, choosing the fear and choosing the contrast and driving there. That did not serve me at all. It burnt me out. It was me leaking my energy, versus being on the plane. I could have just surrendered and let go and just enjoyed it. I worked through the fear, get on the plane, and I would have been fine. I know I would have been fine. It's just I didn't move through that fear. I wanted to control, right? Because I thought, no, I don't trust this, and I hung on to my fear, and I hopped in the car because I wanted to control how I got there. And that's another thing on your journey is you can't control. You've got to let go. You've got to surrender, because God God knows what's best for us. We don't. We're God's babies. We're God's children, and we just surrender into that, and it makes the journey so much easier. So, yeah, I hope that my message I hope you enjoyed my story. I hope it made you laugh. It wasn't it I wanted to share just for the experience. And don't choose contrast. Choose love, and be open to allowing God to love you in the way that God is guiding you. I learned my lesson, and I'm going to hop on the plane next time. Even if I'm scared to, I'm going to move through it, because I'm not doing what I did, for this New York trip. And yeah, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to post those below, and I'll be back. I'm going to share some more about the trip, and because I find it very humorous now, the things that I experienced. It wasn't funny in the moment, but now looking back on it, a lot of it is pretty comical. So, yeah. And thank you guys for watching.